John, it's great to have you back on InvestorStream again. We last spoke in January and much has happened in the world since then. Can you give us an update on the progress Myanmar Metals has made recently in regards to the world-class Baldwin project in Myanmar? And how's the company been dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, well, hi, Alex. Thanks. And yes, it has been a challenging year for everyone. There's no doubt there are still some challenges to come. But from our point of view, we've adapted quickly to the uncertainties. Early on, we took the decision to limit our expenditure and preserve our cash balance. And we've been supported in this by our contractors and service providers who've reduced their fees to help out. But perhaps the biggest impact has been the inability to travel to Myanmar and engage face-to-face with local stakeholders and take visitors to site. But I'm pleased to say that we've been very well supported by our local joint venture partners and our in-country management team in Myanmar. They've done a brilliant job of keeping the wheels turning. And we've made steady progress compiling and submitting all of the technical, environmental and compliance documentation required by the regulatory approval process in Myanmar. So we've ticked off all the jobs on the list and we're very much in the ministry's hands now. And we anticipate a successful conclusion to this process before the end of the year. And a significant part of the process is the recent lodgement of our environmental scoping study, which I'm pleased to say has gone through without any objections. Now, I know there's growing impatience around when we can expect a decision on our production sharing agreement and when we can expect to receive the foreign investment permit from the Myanmar Investment Commission. But these processes are very thorough, and we know that COVID-19 has impacted on the Myanmar government's ability to operate normally. I remain very confident in the integrity of the approval process and that we will get a positive outcome once it's complete. So I'm quite relaxed with the way the ministry is progressing, and I believe that it's just a question of timing, and that of course has been impacted by COVID-19 like so many other things in the world right now. And our joint venture partners agree. We have now formed the incorporated JV vehicle, a company called BJV Limited, of which Myanmar Metals is the majority shareholder. So BJV is the applicant for the foreign investment permit and it's the signatory on the production sharing agreement, so that when these two things are finalised with government, it will be the legal holder of the Baldwin mining concession, that's the mining lease, and it will hold all rights to invest, build and operate Asia's biggest silver mine.
So you recently announced the board's decision to exercise your option to acquire Locrian Precious Metals, which holds some very exciting gold projects in northern Myanmar. What does this signify in terms of MYL's future?
Well, it is exciting, and it's also an emphatic statement of purpose by our company. The acquisition of Locrian demonstrates our confidence in Myanmar as an emerging mining jurisdiction that offers amazing opportunities for growth and commodity diversification. The first thing to say is that having spent 3 years in country building a reputation for getting results and a good relationship with government, we're now starting to execute our long-term strategy of building a pipeline of outstanding minerals projects in Myanmar. Myanmar Metals is transitioning from a single project company into a multi-project company, and this allows us to look at some of the tremendously exciting opportunities with demonstrated geological potential that are being presented to us. I describe it as doing exploration at the pub, which sounds funny, but what I mean is that through our local contacts and reputation, we're seeing opportunities that others won't even hear about. And Locrian is a great example. The company, Locrian Precious Metals, was a Canadian explorer who spent many years looking for the best gold ground in Myanmar, and they found it at the Tale Gold Belt in the east of the country near the Thai border. They then spent 5 years on permitting, only to run out of money a year ago, and thanks to our strong position and local relationships, Myanmar Metals is now the majority owner. The now permitted Tale Gold Project is our first great opportunity. The Tale Gold Belt hosts multiple small-scale, high-grade mining operations with gold in quartz veins, but there's been almost no investment in geoscience and no history of drilling in the region. Earlier this year, Myanmar Metals undertook a very preliminary scout sampling program at Tale and was rewarded with gold grades up to 16 grams per tonne in pan concentrates from stream samples and up to 5 grams per tonne in rock chips. So this is the kind of place that you can pick up a nugget. But perhaps of more interest, our geochemical work supports the potential for a large copper-gold porphyry beneath the surface veins. I can't wait to get up there exploring in the coming dry season. And as regards timing, mine construction at Baldwin will take roughly 2 years once we're fully permitted and have secured finance. So having the option to explore Tale at the same time as we develop Baldwin ensures we have steady news flow during that time, and it allows us to find the next mine to develop once Baldwin is up and running. The beauty of Baldwin, of course, is that it generates a lot of cash and is able to fund further mine developments, which creates the opportunity for us to repeat the exercise, delivering value for our shareholders and continuing to grow the business. So that's the plan.
Everyone knows that Baldwin is widely considered one of the world's largest silver lead projects. I guess the major concern among investors has been its location in Myanmar. How do you usually respond to these concerns?
Well, I've been greatly impressed by the changes that have taken place in Myanmar since democratic elections were first held 5 years ago. I visited the country often during that time, and I've witnessed a genuine and sustained effort by all levels of government to open up the country to foreign investment and create the legal and regulatory framework that provides certainty for investors. And Myanmar is keen to develop its abundant natural resources to create jobs and economic development for its growing population. And Baldwin is at the top of the list of mining projects that the ministry wants to see developed. Myanmar is holding its second ever democratic national election in November, and I know the government is keen to campaign on its record of attracting foreign investment and promoting major project developments. But all of the advice we hear is that the current government will be returned, which places the country in the middle of a 10-year period of stable management. And I can see foreign investors already factoring that in, with a stream of well-known international companies establishing operations in Myanmar. And from our perspective, we're very confident in Myanmar. It is a great place to grow our business. We have excellent relationships with our local joint venture partners. We have a very strong relationship with all levels of government, and we've built very solid and enduring relationships with the local people and key local community stakeholders. In a bare 3 years, we've taken Baldwin from a resource of 0 to over 100 million tonnes, proving it to be a global top 10 resource in both silver and lead, as well as a substantial zinc resource. We've drilled 27,000 metres, built roads and buildings, digitised 900 historical plans, conducted 2 years of environmental baseline studies, and taken the project to the definitive feasibility stage, awaiting final government permits to commence. Now, I think you'd be lucky to achieve that in Australia, so it's pretty clear that we haven't been hampered by operating in Myanmar. And I'm confident that as we move forward, investor perceptions about Myanmar will become more positive, and they will see the upside in our position as one of the foremost foreign investors in a country with an abundance of natural resources and opportunities for growth. Myanmar Metals is now the leading mineral explorer developer in country, and that gives us a huge first mover advantage before the rest of the world realises the size of the opportunity.
And just finally, John, what are the next steps for the approval process for Baldwin?
Well, as we reported in our latest quarterly report, the production sharing agreement, that's the lease agreement, has been drafted and negotiated, and once it's signed off by the Ministry and the Attorney General, it and other key projects in the Myanmar Investment Commission in support of our application for foreign investment permit. The timing of lodgement is really in the hands of the Ministry as we've reached the end of our job list. As I mentioned, we've recently submitted our environmental scoping study to the Environmental Conservation Department, who accepted it without objection, and that's an input to the MIC process, along with the production sharing agreement, the feasibility study, and draft term sheets from financiers, all of which we have ready to go. So we expect to be able to finalise all of these matters and our definitive study before the end of the year, and in anticipation of this, we're well advanced in the process of identifying suitable partners to assist us with project financing to raise the funds necessary to develop Baldwin. So in summary, we have a relatively short period ahead of us in which much of our hard work over the next couple of years is expected to come together and set us up for the next exciting chapter in our story. I think it's a great time for investors, and given everything we have to look forward to, I have enormous confidence in our ability to reward their patience and loyalty. To put it another way, the time is upon us and we won't be cheap for much longer.
Always a pleasure to catch up, John. Really appreciate you joining me today. Thanks for the update, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Pleasure.